Guys, welcome back to Corey Has Spoken. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Do I have a lot to talk about? We're going to talk about the Jake Paul Anderson Silva boxing match, which was surprisingly very entertaining. And I think a lot of folks are rather surprised about how entertaining this fight was. I, I mean, it was a war. I want to say I'm speechless, but I'm doing a video to discuss it, so I can't be speechless. But when are we going to start giving this guy some credit? Jake Paul, that is. When is the point where we're going to say, okay, me personally, I not only respect it, but hey, I'm enjoying the Jake Paul experiment or the Jake Paul show, whatever it is you want to call it. I'm enjoying it. The guy is committed to learning boxing. You know, he doesn't have to do this. He has plenty of money from his, background as a, YouTube sensation. But he's purposely putting himself in the fire to learn this brutal craft of boxing. And he's getting pretty damn good at it, if I'm being honest. And, I have, such an affinity for combat sports. And I've talked about this before. I'm not a Jake Paul hater. I actually like what he's doing. I'm enjoying watching the progress. He's obviously improving in his skill set and getting better and more confident in every fight. And based on what I saw last night, he should be. He should be. Let's get real. He should be confident. Anderson Silva had a fight this past year with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who is a former world boxing champion. And Anderson Silva won that fight via split decision. But yet he couldn't beat Jake Paul last night. In fact, Anderson Silva was knocked down, I believe it was the 7th round. Don't quote me on that. It was either the 6th or the 7th. I think it was the 7th. Jake Paul actually caught Anderson Silva with a right hand that sat him down to his butt. And the round and a half left after that, it was a much different fight. Anderson Silva was still trying to clear the cobwebs out of his brain, and you could tell at that point he was just kind of resigned to the fact that, okay, I lost this fight. There were moments that you could clearly see a frustration for Anderson Silva throughout that fight. He was claiming it had to do with Jake coming in and, headbutting him and things like that. I'm not so sure that was the real reason that Anderson Silva was getting frustrated. And he was showing visible frustration just from the look on his face. He kept, taking Jake's head and like pushing him away and just kind of big brothering him and stuff like that. And I understand that's somewhat Anderson's style, and he's been known to do that throughout his fighting career. So I get that, I understand that. But even outside of that, you could tell that Anderson Silva was starting to become somewhat frustrated with how that fight was playing out. And I honestly, sincerely think that he did not expect Jake Paul to be that good. I think he did not expect him to be that good. And I think he kept getting touched up by him. I actually picked Anderson Silva to win this fight via unanimous decision. Shame on me. Sorry, Jake Paul. Shame on me. He doesn't care. He's laughing all the way to the bank, and he's also now beat, Anderson Silva, who's a multi-time UFC and MMA champion in the middleweight division, and by many considered one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT of MMA. So, when are we going to put some respect on this guy's name, Jake Paul? When are we going to put some respect on his name? I mean, he starts out, Anees and Gibb, all right, this guy's another YouTuber. He's short. Jake Paul has all these advantages over him. He beats him. Okay. Well, that guy's just a YouTuber. Then he goes up against what was the basketball? Nate Robinson goes up against Nate Robinson. Oh well, this guy's at least a professional athlete. So he's stepping up. He's stepping up his challenges just a little bit. He goes in there, knocks him out, and then of course after he knocks him out, well, that guy was just a basketball player. Guy wasn't a boxer. He needs to fight a boxer. So he takes on Ben Askren. And at this point, before the fight happens, everybody's, Ben Askren's going to beat him. At least Ben Askren knows what it's like to be in a fight. He was a professional fighter. He's going to go in there and handle and big brother Jake Paul and, end this whole facade of Jake Paul being this boxer. And that did not happen. He disposed of Ben Askren very, very handily. But then, of course, after he beat him, well, Ben Askren's not even a striker. He's just a wrestler. Okay, all right. Well, he takes another step up. Tyron Woodley. Before the fight happens, okay, well, this is, Tyron Woodley. He's not some chubster like Ben Askren. He's obviously in really good shape. He's been a UFC champion. This guy's got a thunderous right hand. He's quick. He's explosive. This is the guy that's going to show us all that we are correct in that Jake Paul sucks, right? He's going to be the guy. So he goes in there. The first fight with Tyron Woodley was kind of, it's kind of lackluster. It wasn't all that great of a fight, but nonetheless, Jake Paul did get the win via split decision. Second fight with Tyron Woodley, same thing. Kind of a lackluster fight, and then all of a sudden, I think it was in the 6th round, boom, and it's over. Tyron Woodley face plants onto the canvas. Jake Paul shows his true power. Then after the fight, well, Tyron Woodley never was a striker. He never really was a striker. All he had was the right hand. He's getting old. I mean, the guy's, 39 years old, Tyron Woodley. I mean, pick on somebody your age. Pick on somebody your own size. Tyron Woodley's shorter. Tyron Woodley's a smaller man. I mean, you hear all this stuff. People love to hate Jake Paul so bad, they will do anything to discredit him. Then Anderson Silva comes along. And this is the guy that everybody looks at and is like, okay, all right. Everybody saw Anderson Silva's boxing match against Chavez. They're like, wow, he is not only a very, very accomplished kickboxer and mixed martial artist, but this dude looks like a boxer. He's a boxer. He went in and he just beat, via split decision, a guy who is a former boxing champion. So this is the true test. If Jake Paul steps up and takes on Anderson Silva, I mean, we got to put some respect on his name just for taking that fight, right? Because Anderson Silva is, despite being a 47-year-old man, has proven that he still is an authentic threat in a boxing ring. We saw this, all right? Jake Paul goes in there last night, wins just about every round. Out of 8 rounds, I gave basically 2 rounds of that 8 to Anderson Silva. Maybe three. But, 2-3 rounds, roughly, to Anderson Silva. Jake Paul won every other round, plus sat Anderson Silva down in the 7th round, and Anderson Silva took a knee and didn't get up until the count of 7 probably. This was a war. There were times where Jake got caught with some good uppercuts by Anderson. He got caught with a couple of good right crosses from Anderson. Jake was never rocked, never looked like he was in trouble. He took some shots. It was a back and forth war, and Anderson Silva was sincerely trying to win that fight. He was trying to win that fight, and he couldn't. So what now? What is going to be the narrative now surrounding this Jake Paul kid? What's the narrative? What's it going to be? What are people going to say now? Well, and listen, and Anderson Silva himself said in the ring, Ariel Helwani asked him, Anderson, do you agree with the decision? Do you feel like you did enough to win this fight? Or do you agree that Jake should have been the winner? And Anderson Silva flat out said, no, I think the judges got it right. He beat me fair and square. I gave my best, and, I trained hard, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. He legitimately lost that fight. And I'm not talking about just due to the thunderous right hand of Jake Paul, which is what ended up sitting Anderson down. But even prior to that, he was losing pretty much that whole fight just based on points. Guys, this kid, Jake Paul, can box. He can box. And I think it's time that we put some respect on his name. I gotta say, I didn't like the call out of Nate Diaz. I know that's in a lot of ways probably one of the main reasons that Nate Diaz did not re-sign with these guys right here. Is because he wanted that Jake Paul fight. He wanted that big money Jake Paul fight. But listen, I'm sorry. And I know that I'm a little early in the game for this because they haven't even made that fight. But listen, if Anderson Silva can't beat Jake Paul, Nate Diaz is not going to beat Jake Paul. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but it's just not likely. I just don't believe that's going to happen. And that's kind of unfortunate because if the timing would have lined up correctly, I would have liked to have seen this done the opposite way. For him to face Nate first, then go beat Nate, and then go and fight Anderson Silva. It just seemed to make more sense because Anderson Silva is definitely known for being a better striker than Nate Diaz. So unfortunately for me, I don't know how you guys feel, but I kind of think that after seeing what Jake did to Anderson Silva, for me, that kind of takes a little bit of the intrigue and the sting out of the Nate Diaz fight. I mean, I'm sure it'll be fun. The lead up to the fight, the pre-fight antics will definitely be fun with Nate Diaz. But I don't know. As far as the fight itself, that kind of makes me a little less excited at this point because I just honestly, sincerely do not think Nate has much of a chance in that fight, especially after seeing what Jake was able to do to Anderson Silva. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What now? What now for this guy? Do you guys respect him now? And I know he's over there, calling out Canelo and all that. I mean, come on. Slow your roll, hold up. And I think we all can agree, he's definitely not ready for that challenge. But as far as the rest of it, I'm kind of finished doubting him, at least for a little while, because he has continued to surprise me and impress me with his ability to go out there and get the wins over these guys in a boxing match. He fought a very smart fight. He was very smart defensively. It's obvious that this kid is working really, really hard on his boxing skills and has a great team around him who are really helping him to become a very fundamentally sound boxer. I don't even know that you can call him a beginning boxer at this point. He's been on like this accelerated program because he has all the money in the world to, pay these guys to get all these best trainers and these best nutritionists and strength and conditioning coaches and all this other stuff. So he's really done a good job of, taking the marketing aspect of it, which he already had, now allowing his talent to catch up with his ability to reach people. He's starting to really, really close that gap. And hey, man, I'm impressed with it. I give the guy his due. I give the guy respect. So, what do you guys think? What do you think's next for him? And Do you put some respect on Jake Paul's name now? Let me know in the comments. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you enjoy the content, please do subscribe. I'll see you next time.